You pull up to the gas pump and you just stare at the buttons. Regular, premium, E10, E15, or maybe even E85. The marketing on the pump pitches the higher ethanol blends as a dual benefit. They cost less per gallon, and they reduce your tailpipe emissions. But if you talk to a seasoned mechanic, they might warn you off entirely. They'll tell you ethanol is a corrosive solvent that ruins fuel lines and destroys engines. Performance tuners see it differently. For them, high ethanol fuel is a high-octane tool for reaching much higher power levels. The truth is, both perspectives are factually accurate. Ethanol is a different chemical compound from gasoline, with its own distinct physics. What happens when it hits your tank isn't a simple question of good or bad. The outcome depends on the specific metals, plastics, and computer programming inside your vehicle. To figure out which button you should press, we are going to analyze the physics of ethanol combustion, map how it interacts with different materials, and outline exactly which blends are safe for specific eras of cars. Saving a few cents at the pump today can lead to a multi-thousand-dollar repair bill if the fuel doesn't match your hardware. Let's start inside the engine cylinder to look at the primary physical difference between pure gasoline hydrocarbons and ethanol. This chart shows energy density, the lower heating value, of both fuels. Ethanol contains less energy per liter than gasoline. To travel the exact same distance down the highway, the engine must inject a greater volume of liquid into the cylinder. The direct consequence is a reduction in overall miles per gallon when using higher ethanol blends. But ethanol balances lower energy density with a unique chemical advantage. Its molecular structure contains bound oxygen. That extra oxygen promotes a more complete burn. It significantly reduces toxic tailpipe emissions like soot-like nanoparticles and carbon monoxide. Ethanol also has a high latent heat of vaporization. As it sprays into the cylinder, it absorbs heat and actively cools the combustion chamber. This cooling effect, paired with ethanol's naturally high octane rating, prevents premature ignition. That allows engines to run higher compression ratios without knocking. The catch is that a standard, older engine cannot reach this level of output. To benefit from these properties, the engine's hardware and computer must be specifically designed for ethanol. You trade volumetric fuel economy for cleaner emissions and high power potential, a trade-off that only works if your vehicle is actually built to manage it. While the combustion chamber handles the physics, the fuel delivery system faces a different material threat over time. Ethanol is hygroscopic. It attracts and absorbs moisture directly from the atmosphere. When that water mixes with ethanol inside your fuel tank, it increases the electrical conductivity of the fuel. This creates an aggressive environment that facilitates electrochemical corrosion on non-passivated metals. In older vehicles, the specific victims are mild steel fuel tanks and the copper or brass components inside the fuel pump. This corrosion sheds metallic ions into the fuel, which accelerates the formation of acidic species and gummy deposits that can eventually clog the fuel system. Putting an E15 or E20 blend into a legacy metal fuel system creates a persistent circuit of corrosion that degrades the fuel system from within. The metals aren't the only vulnerable points. The system also relies on rubber hoses, gaskets, and O-rings to keep fuel from leaking. Ethanol is a highly polar solvent. It interacts aggressively with the older rubber compounds found in pre-2010s vehicles, like nitrile butadiene rubber. At a molecular level, ethanol extracts the chemical plasticizers out of the rubber, the elements that give the hose its flexibility. Without those plasticizers, the rubber simultaneously swells in volume while losing its tensile strength and elasticity. The physical result is a brittle hose that cracks under pressure, leading to sudden and dangerous fuel leaks. Modern vehicles avoid this by utilizing advanced ethanol-resistant materials like fluoroelastomers. Ethanol doesn't destroy all rubber, but it breaks down the outdated formulations that older cars rely on. Staying safe in the ethanol era requires taking this physics and material science and applying it directly to the age and type of your vehicle. Let's start with the legacy owner. If you drive a pre-2010 or classic vehicle, your safe limit is E10. You must avoid E15 or higher to protect your unoptimized mild steel tanks and older rubber lines from corrosion and swelling. Next is the everyday commuter, driving a standard vehicle built in the last decade. You are protected by factory stainless steel and modern plastics. E15 is safe and lowers your emissions, with a slight reduction in your miles per gallon. Finally, there's the performance optimizer, looking to run high blends like E20 to E85 for power. To do this safely, you need hardware upgrades, fluoroelastomer fuel lines, and the removal of copper and brass parts, and a custom ECU tune to manage your compression and fuel flow. Ethanol fuel blends function safely and efficiently only when the vehicle's internal hardware is specifically designed to manage its unique properties. The choice at the pump is only an advantage if you know exactly what your engine is built to handle. Match the fuel to the hardware, and you solve the dilemma.